Okay, we're going to begin the consent agenda for the SBAR meeting of January 5th, 2024. And we are going to jump to item C2 while we wait for Commissioner Peugeot to show up for item C1 since there's architectural comments and I am the landscape architect. So we'll start with item C2. Dylan, I see you there for C1. As soon as Alex comes, we will have you present.
Great. We do have a memo for this one.
For C2? Okay. There's a memo from Veronica King, the planner, says modifications require design review approval of the LUDC, which states the project shall be subject to the provisions of section or the design review section and shall be scheduled to be heard in front of the Board of Architectural Review for preliminary review and approval only before the project is heard by the zoning administrator. The modification, we must make the finding that the modification is minor in nature and will result in better architectural or site design as approved by the Board of Architectural Review. So that's why it's in front of us, even though it's a very minor modification. So looks like the applicant is here. Brett, would you like to come to the podium briefly? So back to it.
Got it?
Item C2 is located is at the request of Brett Ettinger, the agent for Glazer Miss Glenn Living Trust. And it's located at 915 Camino Medio. And it's here for preliminary and final on consent of the modification approval. The previous comments were just in support of the project. So Brett, if you can state your name and whether anything's changed since the last time we saw it.
Good morning. My name is Brett Ettinger, Ferguson Ettinger Architects. Nothing has changed since the last time we met here in December. Thank you.
So we'll just, for completeness, we'll scroll through really quick and just make sure the details are shown. Is it just the one sheet?
No,
It was a
we
whole,
have 4 sheets that were
That's what I
presented the
thought.
last time.
Is Veronica King on the call today? She's not. Is there anyone else that can see if just the wrong file was uploaded to the box?
Yeah, that's one of the correct sheets. That's the second sheet, but
I think, so we don't make the motion for approval until in the formal agenda. So if there's someone on the planning side that can try to pull up the correct file. Okay. So but there's a file in the only file we have is named front yard setback site plan. Is
It
that
was-
how it was uploaded?
we haven't done any additional uploading since the last hearing. It was the same exact set of drawings that we presented in December.
Oh,
We were not asked to upload additional drawings since they were exactly the same as what we presented last month.
okay. I think it'll be acceptable because we didn't have any comments for changes in the last one. We just need to confirm that it's a complete for final approval. So I think it'll be fine, Brett. You can, we can. I make you hang out for,
Okay.
to wait till Veronica's here, but. Get out of town. David was able to find them from the last
Awesome.
hearing, so.
Good work.
All right, so let's just scroll through, check for completeness. This is where you. I know. I, okay, you can keep scrolling. Okay, so for final, Alex, who is usually supposed to be here for consent, usually asks for like all the architectural detailing. But
Nothing. It's exactly the same project that was permitted and approved.
okay, so
There's absolutely no change. It's just that the building, as I discussed last time, was not the portion was not salvageable. So we're just building what was already permitted as a new garage and not a
it's
remodel.
just a
addition.
foundation change,
Exactly.
essentially. Okay. Okay, so I think we can give it approval in the normal agenda. All right, and then we can move, well, okay, we'll move on to C3. I would really like Alex to be here for item C1. So thank you, Brett. Yep.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice day.
Anybody not here today, you know, David?
Hey, Robert.
So there's a memo for C3 as well.
All right. Is the applicant for C3 online? Oh, let me see. I need to pull up the participants thing so I can see when they're there. Then, okay. All right, so moving on to item C3, at the request of Kate Svensson, agent for Roblata LLC, George Behar. The project is at 4629 Via Roblata in the Hope Ranch area. And it's here for conceptual, oh, no, sorry.
I know.
Is this? Oh, it's incorrect on our agenda.
Yeah, it's final.
It says conceptual review.
We already did conceptual review.
But at the bottom, it says may return for preliminary final.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Just to jump in, this is Tatiana, the planner. It was asked to return for preliminary final on consent, so that's what it should read.
Okay,
It's fine on the.
Sorry, I can't see the
remember agenda.
agenda. What
Okay,
it,
I just want to, okay. Okay, so it's here for prelim final on consent, and there's a memo, a planner memo that we'll read through. Only the proposed pool and cabana, also labeled as gym and sauna, are subject to design review due to being in the 100-foot of a 16-foot drop in elevation considered hillside ridgeline development. Each structure proposed where there is a 16-foot drop in elevation within the 100 feet in any direction from proposed building footprint shall be subject to design review in compliance with the design review section for conformity with the development guidelines in subsections C. I won't read all of those guidelines. But can you keep scrolling through, David? All other proposed structures are set back at least 100 feet from the 16-foot drop in elevation are not subject to design review. So we are, and the final approval of the CDH is subject to review by the planner. So we are only looking at the pool and cabana structures. Alex, we're on C3, and then we'll go back to C1. I just was waiting for you to get here for that one. So the previous comments were that the board is in support of the proposal, and that's it. So, Kate, if you could state your name and anything that's changed since the last time we saw this.
Kate Svensson, designer for the project. No, nothing has changed at all. We do have Michaela Colvin as I see her on the call, and she's the one who worked on the landscape plans on this project as well. So if she could also address the landscaping development around the cabana, I think that would be helpful for the board. But the set you're looking at is the exact same set you saw at the prelim. hearing.
Okay. Can you direct us to scroll to which sheet has a blow up of the pool and cabana area?
Oh, man. I actually do
All of
not
them.
know which set you
Yeah, I
have,
think it
so
is
it'll
towards
be
the
way,
end.
way down. Yeah, way, way down in the set, because you probably have the full building department submittal set in front of. Okay, so okay, I guess I edited for you. That's it. No, go up. This stop. So overall, the site plan, you guys can see the pool cabana on the top right of the property, and if you scroll down, you'll see the floor plans and elevations for the cabana right here. And probably the
Yeah,
next
and
sheet will
elevations
show you the
are
floor
there.
plans. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at the page with the elevation, with the windows, and there were some glass openings. Where do they occur? You know, like,
So they all face, you can see on the floor plan, so the page north and page west are the two large openings. So the north bifold door is facing, basically the hill and the ocean, and the one on the east side of the project is facing the other structure on the property, which is the ADU. So both of them are away from all
yeah,
of the
but
surrounding
there's
neighbors.
there's one with big glass. It says not in window schedule. I think it's in the
Yeah,
next
so the two
page.
doors you see on the floor plan right now, if you look on the top right portion of the page, there's two large openings, kind of corner openings. Those are bifold doors. They're not
Right.
windows.
Right, but these are fixed glass, and it has like a truss, the shape of a truss, and in the
That's on the
frame.
main house. That's for the main house only.
Oh, that's the main house. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
This is the schedule. Below the floor plans here, you can see the window schedule and the door schedule. That's
Okay.
only ones applicable to the cabana.
Okay, thanks. I was just impressed by the number of pages on this set, like, and they are not all
Yeah.
included. I thought it was like something like 35 pages or so, and
Oh no, we're at 178 for the whole development. It's a large book to read, yeah.
no, it's well detailed. It's well, I have no comments.
So, do you guys want to go over the landscaping? I think at the preliminary review, we didn't have a chance to go over landscaping around the
Yeah, I
structure.
think it would be good to hear how what the
Maybe
landscape approach
Michaela can
was.
help us out.
Not you. Someone else from Bosque?
Hi, Michaela Colvin with Bosque Landscape Architecture. Kate, could you fill me in what was presented previously?
The LUP set, basically. So it's only applicable to cabana and the pool, I guess, but we really only reviewed the cabana because it's within a 100-foot setback. So we're just kind of looking into the area, with light landscaping around the cabana and screening for the neighbors.
Okay, yeah. So we have around the whole property, kind of large native screen shrubs, and some oak trees going around the perimeter. So trying to densely screen from the neighbors and the street. Down the slope, we don't have too much planting, just sort of kind of a Mediterranean and native palette sort of at the top of slope. We have some olive trees kind of in between the cabana and the ADU.
There a planting plan here that maybe you guys can scroll to?
Yeah, it should be kind of 2 or 3 sheets below this one.
Yeah. I can also share my screen if you, for some reason, don't have it. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the planting plan in there.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, scroll.
There
it
you
looks
go.
like here we
There.
are.
Yeah.
Mine was having a hard time, I think, because the file's big. I couldn't scroll to it.
So you can see at the fence line, we have kind of 2 or so layers of large native screening, and then just kind of minimal planting around the in between the ADU and the cabana.
Okay. Are you proposing any landscape lighting?
Yes, just minimal for path of travel.
Okay. Do you show it on here just to?
We have some on the lighting plan, a couple sheets below this one.
Okay. You scroll through that.
Yeah, one more, I think. Yeah, we have 2 more irrigation plans and then should be lighting. Here we are. So you might need to zoom in to see the symbols. It's a pretty large plan here.
We'll just focus around the pool area since that's sounds like
Okay.
it's the only part in our purview right now.
So yeah, we don't really have much lighting around the pool, just more kind of some path of travel lighting to get you to the pool area.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions, Alex? Yeah, I think it all looks good. So we'll give it a final approval in the normal agenda as the normal agenda item once we're there, but you don't have to wait around for it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Iguan, okay. The applicant here is, Eva, are you here or who's presenting? Oh, Dylan, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi, Dylan.
how are you?
Good, good. Yeah, I look at the plans previously. You made some changes. Can you go over the changes? I know you changed the trellis and the patio and the walls and the side walls. Can you show us where they are?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think the best place to start would be on page 12 of the PDF, please, which is A 2.3. It's the roof plan. Yeah, so Alex, I really appreciated the comments that you made previously. And so there are a couple of things that we addressed based on those comments. So one, I reduced the pitches of the roof. One of the comments that you had was that some of the roofs felt like they were over pitched relative to the design concept. And I appreciated that comment. So we did revise those pitches. The comment was that there was a flat roof that felt like an addition. So we actually changed that to a gable. So we have a cross gable. So in this lower portion of the screen, you'll see we created a 3.5 12 tied into a 412 roof on that rear portion of the house. Eliminated the portion of the trellis to the south over what we're calling the breakfast deck, and just have that trellis coming off of the great room. So if you'll go to page 15 of the PDF, please. This is the rear elevation where you can see the reduction of the pitch of the roof over the great room, the change to a gable at the office area to the left of the great room, and then the revision to the trellis, which is now just over the great room. And I think architecturally it works quite a bit more successfully. One of the comments from another board member was, the span of the material didn't look like it was working. You can see in the view above on detail 2 south elevation, we are breaking that span with a cross beam. And so the spans, and I've confirmed this with structural, the spans on these trellis members will work just fine. And so I think we successfully answered that question. And then for perspective views, if you go to page, oh, go ahead, Alex. Were you going to say something?
No. What page are the perspective and the
Okay,
front?
sorry. Yeah, go to page 2 of the PDF, please. And so the lower right perspective view shows best that the changes that we made to that portion of the project. And again, I appreciate the comments. We made some pretty significant changes, and I think it's caused a more successful architecture. So
well done, Dylan. How about the reduced? No, was it to minimize the reduce hardscape and side walls? I think you did change the side walls a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah. So I'm going to turn this over to Michaela, who's with us from Bosque, and she's going to take us through the landscape drawings. They're 2 separate submittals sets. So if you go to the 3979, the tab to the right on the PDF up at the top, yeah. And then I'll turn this over to Michaela.
Hi. So we are looking for the landscape layout plan. These look like the civil sheets right now.
Yeah, it starts on page 7.
Yeah, it keeps going.
PDF.
Yep. There you
Just
go.
one more down. There we go. So if you look at the curved site wall, we have reduced the number of site walls. We used to have 2. So we have removed the lower site wall and increased the remaining site wall from 4 feet to 5 feet. And we have just added some boulders below that site wall just to kind of help naturalize the steepness of the grade that we're just going to be grading to kind of make that all work. So reduce the one site wall to be 5 foot high. And then we have also at the motor court pulled in the entrance wall that's leading to the front door more towards the rest of the motor court. So we've reduced the size of that. And to address another comment was the pathway to the front door. We've now made that permeable stone paving, and we have pulled it away from that existing oak tree.
Good. I was going to see.
This is some landscaping plan, right?
Yeah, I think that addressed all the direct comments. Let's scroll through the planting plan and. Kayla, what shrubs are you proposing at the base of the retaining wall?
Let's see. We have some Salvia Waverly, some Muhlenbergia Lindheimeri, some Muhlenbergia dubia, little ollies, and some lavender, and also some rosemary, looks like.
Okay. All right. And any landscape lighting on this one?
Yes, just kind of some minimal path of travel.
Any other questions, Alex? Yeah, I think everything looks ready to go. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that concludes the consent calendar, right? Yep. Okay, so let's move on.
Okay, so we'll now call to order the SBAR meeting of January 5th, 2024. Welcome, everyone. First meeting of the year. Let's begin with item number 1, public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda for today? If so, please step forward. I think we have one.
We have one for the minutes, but not this portion.
Okay. Very good. So that concludes public comment. Item number 2, elections for chair and vice chair.
I nominate Kaylee Grubb for chair.
Okay. Any other, we do them one by one, right? Not together. Yeah. So any other nominations for chair? Okay, great. Yeah, so we can vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Kaylee Grubb, the new SBAR chairperson. Yep, well done. Okay, so vice chair. I'll nominate Alex Peugeot for vice. Any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I will now turn it over to Kaylee. Thank you all, the last 3 years.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
The years.
All right, we'll move on to the agenda status report. Yeah,
I do not have any changes to report.
okay. All right, we'll move on to reviewing the minutes from December 15th, 2023, and we have one public comment or request to speak. So we'll hear that before we do the review. Would Michael Guten like to speak? We'll just hear it now. All right.
Good morning, members.
Good morning. You'll have 3 minutes.
Okay.
I also have to figure out. how
Thank
to
you.
do-
My name is Michael Guten
Timer.
and
One
you're
more.
ready? Okay.
I just press start here. Okay, please,
Thank you.
say your name and.
My name is Michael Guten. I'm the owner of the property at 740 Mission Park Drive, and this is in regards to item number 5 of the last meeting. And I think you folks remember me that I've attended all the meetings before. I'm concerned about the large house that's being built 7 feet away from my house. I have some comments about the last meeting I'd like to make. Prior to your voting today, whether or not to approve the minutes of that meeting, which include the preliminary conceptual design review of agenda item number 5, I would like to make the following points. First, that agenda item number 5 unapproved minutes refer to this project as preliminary and final approval, but that is incorrect, as this project was only being heard for preliminary conceptual design approval and not final approval. And I'd like that to be changed in the minutes, if you don't mind. The applicant surprised everybody in the 12/15/23 hearing, including the SBAR members, with a revised set of plans dated 12/4/23, which were downloaded right at the hearing, which no SBAR member or any of the public had any opportunity to adequately study or comment on. The 12/4/23 revised set of plans changed the roof shape from a hip roof to a gable roof with a pitch from 412 to 612 and a height from 23 feet 5 inches to 25 feet 4 inches, which made the house even taller than before. The result of the change in the roof shape, pitch, and height is more shading of sunlight and blocking of views from my house and backyard, and a more overshadowing presence of of such a large 2-story house erected just 7 feet away from my much smaller single-story house. In the previous set of drawings, at the request of the SBAR and the affected members, the roof shape had been changed to a hip roof from a gabled roof, and the roof over the master terrace on the 2nd floor had been deleted completely. The purpose of those changes was to lessen the sunlight shading, loss of views, and overall closed-in feeling that affected my property. The SBAR and the neighbors considered those roof revisions to be a satisfactory accommodation to mitigate the loss of sunlight views and the overshadowing of the house and backyard of my house. The proposed change to a gabled roof with a steeper pitch and an increased total overall height totally defeats that earlier SBAR requested accommodation to lessen the effect of this project to the neighbors. At the 12/15 hearing, the applicant stated that the change to a gabled roof with a steeper pitch and an increased height was to accommodate rooftop solar panels. However, those changes in roof design would have a detrimental effect on me. Those detrimental effects had already been somewhat mitigated with the previous hip-style roof design. By changing the roof back to a hip roof with a 412 pitch and a total height of 23 feet 5 inches, the applicant would still be able to mount solar panels on the 2-story roof.
Mr. Gooten, that's the 3 minutes. So please focus your comments
Yes.
on the minutes
Okay,
review.
thanks. I only have a couple of things here. And mount additional solar panels on the roof of his single-story structure. In the minutes to be approved, there is a comment from an SBAR member that the applicant has made satisfactory efforts to accommodate the neighbors and the SBAR. However, this very important accommodation to lessen the overall height and effects of sun shading, which was made early on by the applicant, has now been reversed by that change in the plans. And I'm asking the SBAR to please request the applicant to change in the preliminary conceptual design before you
Mr.
approve.
Gooten, we're not speaking to extra requests of the applicant, just changes to the minutes.
Minutes, okay,
So please focus and
okay.
about 10 more seconds.
All right, thanks. Here we go. Last sentence. I sincerely request that prior to granting the applicant preliminary conceptual design approval, which you intend to do in the minutes, that the applicant be required to return to the hip style roof design. In the minutes, comment B made by member Alex Pujo about the change of the roof design from the previous design. He said, pitch of roof looks odd for architectural style of structure. Reduce the roof pitch to 412. This comment should also be interpreted to mean that the shape of the roof should be changed back to the hip style roof in order to follow through with the earlier accommodation made to the neighbors
Yeah.
regarding the blocking of sunlight and views of sky and open space,
Okay,
and to stay consistent with the architectural style of the house.
okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Mr.
So before we proceed, I think public comment has gone way beyond comments on the minutes. We're talking about merits of the project here. So just want to caution the SBAR, we're not here to discuss the merits of the project. It's not on the agenda. I would not respond to those comments because it's not on the agenda. What we're here to do is to discuss what occurred during those meetings, what comments were made during those meetings, and for the vote on whether or not the draft minutes accurately reflect that. That is the beginning and end of what you're here to do at this moment.
I understand.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gooten.
All right, one last comment and then I'll leave you.
I think
Yours
Mr.
is,
Gooten, I think
your
you're done.
comment is concluded. We gave you an extra minute.
The fact that they surprised us with those extra plans,
We were able to review your letter as well. So yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Is there any additional public comment regarding the minutes that we'll be reviewing today? Okay. So then we can carry on with reviewing the minutes and we'll get to that on item 5 of them. So item C1 was continued. Anyone have any revisions to item 1? Item 2 was continued. Item 3 was approved, will be approved as a consent item today, so that's 4.
I think on number 4, I don't know that the comment was that the light spill wouldn't occur beyond the property line. I think it said it wouldn't negatively impact the neighborhood. There's going to be light spill, some coming out of any lights in a canopy.
I think it just says demonstrating what light spill will occur.
Okay, I agree.
Okay. Anything else for 4? No. 5,
Wait, oh, non-trip material. That wording okay, you think? Okay. I digress.
yeah, non-trip is a little.
Yeah.
All right, reviewing item 5. And I'd just like to confirm that the plans that we reviewed were submitted to the planner as part of the record. Which is part of the.
Just for item C, increase width of planter for hedge to 2 to 3 feet. I don't think 2 to 3 feet was said. I think I think I said a minimum 3 feet. Increase width of planter or.
Minimum of 3 feet.
Yeah, and it also went along with the decking. It was to reduce the amount of decking in order to accommodate increased width. Yeah, and provide better privacy screening.
Yes, and that was along both side yards.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Our typical policy is when projects are agendized for any kind of motion that can be made, like a preliminary or final approval, that we don't accept plans that haven't been submitted properly. So I'm just curious how we got to that on this particular project. That gentleman spoke about it, and I'm reading the minutes and seeing that we had it agendized to make
Motion.
possible preliminary approval, and then we took in plans at the last minute. That seems inconsistent with how we've operated in the past.
Yeah, in that hearing, if I remember right, it had been submitted and the planner hadn't put the correct plan set in the box. I would like to confirm
I
that.
wasn't there, so I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yes, Madam Chair, I could jump in here if now's a good time. So Yeah, so the planner was out during that hearing, and I was aware of the plans that had been submitted, and so we did allow them to provide the plans because we didn't have access to them at the moment, but the applicant had submitted those plans.
So they had been correctly submitted, but we had not had time to previously review them.
So were they available to the public after they were submitted?
Yep.
And how many days before the hearing was that?
They would have been made available to the public if the public had requested them. Yeah, just like a standard practice.
Okay.
And that was prior to the hearing?
That's correct. Yeah,
Can you estimate how many days prior?
I believe it's 7 or 8 days prior to.
All right, very good. I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Is the planner for this project online today?
Hi, yes, I am. This is Veronica.
Hi, Veronica. Were you aware of a request for the plans previous to when it was agendized on December 15th?
If Michael requested plans, I would have sent him the most updated plan set. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to look at emails, but I thought, is Jonathan on? I don't know if Jonathan's on.
I think he's out today.
Jonathan Martin? Okay. I can go back and look at emails. Me and Michael have been in contact through this whole process, and I've been responsive to all of his emails and requests for more information. I think the issue at the last hearing was that I'd uploaded the incorrect set of plans. So that was my bad. However, anybody who had requested the plans ahead of time, I would have sent them the most updated set. So the issue was that it was uploaded incorrectly, but if there was a request for plans, just as is our standard practice, I would have sent that to the member of the public who was requesting them. So if that makes sense. So that was my bad.
Okay, and just I just had to say it again, we're not agendized for this item, so I think there's a simple question and there's a response. I think we need to move on because this is not agendized for discussion.
Yeah, so we're going to focus our review of the minutes, and then the planning process can kind of be dealt with the planner. So any other?
I have one addition to the item E that says, study ways to address privacy from north window adjacent to neighbor's yard. Consider opaque treatment on lower window pane, because I believe it has 3 panes and there are 3 pieces. And the idea was to shield, to provide privacy to the neighbor, not to block the sunlight or something like that. So if you can add those 4 words, on lower window pane. Thank you.
Okay.
I'd also like to go back to item 4 real quick. When we discussed the removal of the landscape strip, this is item B, we also encouraged the community of Summerlin to, I guess,
Yeah, I see a bench, right? Is that what you said?
well, something like a planter in the right of way to encourage the community of Summerlin to petition the planning commission to have something
Sort of barrier placed.
yeah, barrier or planter in the right of way because it's outside the applicant's property. So that was just one of the things that we talked about when we supported the removal of that landscape strip. We still thought there was a safety concern. So, for what it's worth.
So the idea was to petition, it would be Public Works. So what would be the process for the applicant to do that? To get an encroachment from Public Works to add the planting, right? To add the planting strip. The sidewalk was wide enough, was like 8 or 10 feet.
Sidewalk was wide enough.
Of 10 feet, and we thought like a 2 or 3 foot. But I think,
Planter,
I don't think it would be the planning commission. I think it would be an encroachment, right? From Public Works, I imagine.
As far as our comment goes, we just encouraged, we made a comment that wasn't really directed at the applicant for a solution in the right of way.
yeah, it's encouraging the community to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah. So I don't think we have to clarify what agency it goes through.
Curious though, David, you were about to say something.
I was just going to defer to Joe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Joe?
yeah. Madam Chair, I'm happy to weigh in really quick. So I've drafted up a comment, and I think it's pretty consistent with what was discussed at the last hearing. So what I have is encourage community of Summerlin to petition Public Works to place a barrier along the right of way to protect pedestrians on sidewalk from gas station traffic. The planning commission, I don't think would be the right forum, but I think that the Public Works Department would be the appropriate folks to coordinate with on with regards to a barrier.
Okay, so I would just add to that, when you say barrier, i.e. planter or bench, et cetera.
Okay, great. I've got that.
Moving on to number
Number 6.
What is loosen up hedge? C, as a landscape comment, how do you loosen up a hedge?
By forgetting to prune it.
It was well, I mean, I can't say it's my project,
Oh, okay.
but I understand it. So
I think the comment was to informalize the hedge so it wasn't in a straight line. So maybe
yeah.
use staggered planting instead of a straight line of planting.
They study ways to make the hedge less formal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stagger plantings.
Okay.
I think for 8, the comment B, consider addition of deck and reduction in height of wall. I was just making a recommendation that the applicant could consider using a deck and a railing system instead of the walls to try to accomplish getting that outdoor space. So maybe it should be consider the use of a deck and railing system as opposed to the retaining wall system. It seemed like it was an inefficient way of trying to accomplish the outdoor space to me.
As an alternative to the retaining wall system. Did you get that, Joe?
Yes, I got that.
Is there no other changes? Does someone want to make a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
And all those in favor?
I
I
I have to recuse from the first item on it.
Okay,
yeah, I have to recuse from 7 and 8
okay. And anyone, any nays?
and C2. What?
Anyone opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved, and we'll move on to SBAR members and informational briefings. I do as well. We'll be efficient today. Anything else? Right, welcome to the new year. And then staff update.
Nothing.
Yeah. Go ahead, David.
No, I was just gonna say nothing from me, but I just wanted to take the opportunity just to remind our board members and just make sure to speak directly into your mic.
Okay.
Okay, so the consent items, well, moving on to the consent items, they were reviewed and all consent items were approved as submitted.
Is that the motion?
So just before you do that, I actually was thinking something. I have a question for Veronica. She's still online.
I think so.
Veronica, are you there?
So my question for Veronica had to do with the modification. So my question was whether or not it had actually gone to the zoning administrator yet. And I believe that you had to make, she's asking for preliminary action for the modification, but it's agendized for preliminary final. So my question was, should the board be giving final before it goes to the zoning administrator, or should we wait to give final until after zoning administrator action?
David, let me look that up really quick because I don't believe it has gone to a decision maker. I believe that hearing is actually being waived, but I don't think the decision has been made.
Okay. So we'll approve the other two and wait to hear back from Veronica.
I'd second the motion.
So item C1 and C3 are approved as submitted, and we will,
Vote.
huh?
You can vote on that motion.
Okay, so we'll vote on that. Aye.
Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And then item C2, we'll circle back to once we hear back from Veronica.
Madam Chair, I have a answer for you on that now.
Okay, thank you. What's that?
So, okay, so that the modification has not been approved yet by the zoning administrator or by the director. So what needs to happen is that it does need preliminary approval prior to going to the decision maker for the modification. So the request should be for preliminary, but to withhold final.
And do they need to come back for final or yes?
They will need to come back for final, yeah. But it could be on consent.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I make a motion for preliminary approval for item C2, Glazer, Miss Cullen, Living Trust Garage, and to continue to final after the modification is approved
Second.
Final on consent.
on consent.
Okay. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that concludes the consent agenda. This is a question for David. Do we need to formalize who is going to take on consent review for the new year?
I'm sure it
Does it
would
have to
be.
be an election or is it just?
No, nothing in terms of like, I can make a motion, but I'm sure it would be great to have that conversation.
Okay. Well, before we move on to item 1, does anyone want to take my spot?
Two landscape architects, I think.
I'm happy to
Nominate
help with
Richard.
it.
You are?
Robert,
Sure, Richard will do it.
Richard Roberts.
Thanks, Robert. And Alex, are you going to stay? Okay. All right. Go team. All right. And we will move on to item 1, the Dukes Accessory Structures. The request of Sophie Calvin, agent for Jonathan and Jane Dukes, Dr. Jonathan and Jane Dukes, for 4035 Ramirez Road in the Hope Branch area. They're here for preliminary and final approval. First floor addition and remodel, approximately 537 square feet. Second floor addition remodel of 594 square feet, and the addition of 300 square feet to an existing 2-car garage, new storage, a new cabana, and a new pool with associated equipment. There is currently a residence and garage on the property. We are looking at, there's a proposed garage addition that encroaches about 16% into the side yard setback, and a storage structure that encroaches less than 1%. The grading is 450 cubic yards of cut and 700 cubic yards of fill, and the parcel is 1.58 acres. So is the applicant present? Sophie, are you online?
Hi, it's Sophie Calvin.
Hi, Sophie. So would you like me to read out the comments, or do you want to go through one by one?
I don't, it's up to you. We can go through it, and if we have comments, we can go to those pages.
Okay, I'll read through them. So our previous comments, it was previously heard on October 6th of last year. Overall transformation is successful. Design enhances quality of existing architecture. Restudy the chimneys on sheets A14 and A16. Chimneys appear awkward. Study 2 windows above the arch on the south elevation on sheet A12. Ensure fenestration throughout is consistent. Restudy first floor hip roof over garage and remove landscaping from architectural elevations and show on landscape plans. Return with landscape plan, including all details required for preliminary review. And it's here full board for preliminary and final review.
Quick question, Madam Chair. This requires a modification too, right?
Is there a planner memo on this?
So do they need, can they get a final before the modification or how the, or was it already granted?
Can we say that?
Who's the planner on
I
this?
don't,
Is
I don't
Kathleen
see,
on?
I don't see Kathleen on.
Okay.
Is there a memo on?
I don't see Kathleen on either, and I can take a look really quick to see what the status of the modification is.
Okay, thank you, Joe. So Sophie, go ahead and state your name and how the comments were addressed, and then we'll come back to Joe with where we are with the modification.
Okay, let me just let you know on the first few pages is mostly floor plans, so we could just run through those. The pictures are good to see and just to get everyone to remember what this house looked like. And if we just go down to the next page.
I think if we go down to the items 14 and 16, we deal with the chimney and then the windows, and then we're done. We don't have to really review the.
Okay, so so the best thing to do then is to start on A11.
Yeah, okay, that's the windows, okay.
So you see I don't know, can you see my marker? No, they can't. Oh, they can't. Okay, so on the far left of the page, there is an arched window with two small windows above. That is the entry of to the main residence. And you'll see that on a second elevation too. So what we've done is those windows, those two small windows up top, closer to the roof line, have been reduced in size because we wanted the exterior plaster to be shown, and we thought there was just a better set of scale to those windows in that area, in that roof line, underneath that roof line.
Next page shows the other side. That one shows the other side, which is kind of consistent, right?
Right.
So the windows are the same size, right?
They are both the same size. They're just on
Okay.
two different elevations.
Okay, how about the pages 14 and 16 about the chimneys? And the pages for A14 and A16, right? And is it on the, isn't it the cabana too? I think it's on the cabana is more of the question too.
No, there's no cabana and there's no pool. At one time, there was thought of that. So there is no pool and there is no
where's that elevation of the chimney on the, I guess it's on the next page. Let's see. Yeah.
So that's the
well,
existing garage as is.
Yeah,
And if you go to the
Yeah,
next
there-
page,
there-
you'll
there-
get
there
more
you go.
information. So
That
you'll
one,
see
that-
on
that one.
A16, the north elevation, there's an addition to the garage, the one off to the left
Yeah.
of that garage.
Just to go to the meat of the matter. I think we make a comment about the chimneys on there. They look like sticking out of the building, and we thought they were awkward. I think that was a comment, right?
Yes,
Yeah. How did the chimney change? I guess is the question.
Used to be fatter and have tile.
Used to be awkward.
It used to be wider and fatter on that chimney. And then there was placement of tile in it. It actually wasn't just a straight up and down kind of column of the chimney. It actually widened at the bottom, and then the client wanted a tiled insert. And we all thought it kind of was a little busy. So we thought that this was a cleaner look, and the client really loves it. And it's not a fireplace inside. It's just aesthetics.
it's been changed. Okay. So I think,
So there's no fireplace.
Oh, yeah. And then on the east elevation, the roof has two pitches, and now we've changed that. So don't we have it down?
No, no, The previous one, it was a weird shed.
What is this one?
That's what it was.
So Sophie, we'll go through comment by comment, then I think will be the most straightforward. So, the
Perfect.
restudy first for hip roof over garage. Is that what
Did
we're
that,
looking at right now? And then,
it's gone, yeah.
okay, we looked at the two windows and the chimneys. And so I think if there's no other questions on the fenestration, then we can go on to the landscape comments. So the next one is remove the landscaping from the architectural elevations. It's still kind of there, but we can see the elevations now. For the future, I would just remove it entirely. And then the return with the landscape plan, so we can review that.
Thank you. Yes, Keir
Sorry,
Smith.
sorry. Kier, I believe, is at the meeting himself. And
Yes,
he's the landscape architect for Boski.
we're looking at him. He's here.
Perfect. Thanks, Kier.
I don't know if that's working.
You hear me now? Thanks. Yeah, so last meeting, there was no landscape plans. This was a couple months ago, but previously, I think it was 2 years ago now, in October 2021, we had landscape plans, and as Sophie mentioned, there was a pool, and Pool Cabana is a much bigger project. Our scope has largely been reduced to some planting improvements and hardscape improvements. So these plans have not changed whatsoever from that previous submittal. And so this is what these plans are reflecting. But maybe as a refresher, we are replacing the driveway with the new concrete driveway. Maybe we can go to the next sheet, actually. Yeah, okay, so this is the backyard where there previously was a pool and Pool Cabana. We're showing some Oklahoma stone hardscape outside of the new addition or new improvement areas and some landscape areas. Next sheet, please. Yeah, so the backyard has not changed at all. Mostly planting improvements, hardscape improvements, a modest lawn. We previously had a tree report, arborist report. That has not changed. We're mostly changing like for like. So all the trees that you see adjacent to hardscape, there's currently hardscape there. Next sheet, please. Yeah, so the driveway, modest, yeah, we're replacing the driveway and creating a small bump out. Next sheet, please. Yeah, these are just some site photos you guys have probably, I think you maybe remember from last time, but it's really well screened from Remitas Drive, lots of large mature oak trees. And so these are various vantage points. The top left photo, it's kind of the best vantage point of the house from the street. That's the entry. We're removing some site walls that are kind of outdated and replacing with some updated plantings. Yeah, and you can see the garage there. Next sheet, I think we can get into landscape plans that were missing from the last set. Yeah, this was this section that has not changed, but this is the backyard showing some modest grading with some retaining walls. And then here's our overall planting plan. Yeah, just very Mediterranean, typical kind of Santa Barbara palette. But this has not changed since the last meeting. And then I think we can get into lighting the next couple sheets. Sorry, that's just the landscape details and water use calculations. And then if we keep going down, there should be a lighting plan. There we go. Yeah, so very minimal lighting, some step lights, path lights, few hanging down lights from the oak trees. And that concludes the landscape.
Thanks. All right. And Sophie, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go to questions from the board. No, no questions? All right. And is there?
Madam Chair, if now's a good time, I can give you an update on the status of the modification.
Thanks, Joe.
So So the modification has not yet been approved, and so it is waiting on preliminary approval by this board. So today, if you are ready to approve it preliminarily, please withhold final approval.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm ready for the preliminary approval. I'd like to make a comment. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna make your comment, but then I was just gonna say just before we do just need to remember to call for public comment at some point.
Yes. Is there any public comment online or in the audience? We don't have any speaker slips yet.
No, we don't actually have any. I just want to make sure we asked for it.
Thank you. Okay, we can move on to board comments.
Yeah, no, I think it's ready for preliminary. If you can go back to the item page 16 on the, I think that chimney could have another look. It just looks a little bit awkward as an ornamental piece. Anyway, it's just a suggestion, but the approval is for preliminary approval.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I did, no one else gave it. Oh, I can go person by person. Does anyone? Yeah. Okay, all right. Robert, do you have any comments from this end down?
Yeah, I have a minor comment. Could you go to the site plan on here? Maybe it's more of just a planning question. Is that, I think it's maybe a couple sheets down. You see, if you go up the driveway there, and then looks like there's a parking spot that goes across the property line. And I brought this up at the previous meeting. I'm just confused if is it legal to draw a parking spot that goes across the property line into somebody else's property? I saw it's not shown on the landscape plan, and so if the intent is to build a parking spot across the property line, that should probably be encompassed in the modification. I don't know. It's just.
Where was this?
Trying to figure out what.
If you look.
Oh, yeah, good catch.
I don't know the official process of how somebody goes through that, but we're given approval to somebody.
Is that,
David, can you zoom into those two garages?
Spot that's on a neighboring property. The landscape plan doesn't show it, so maybe this is just, I think at the previous meeting, they said that it's always been that way, so maybe it's just allowable, but.
Oh, so the question is, yeah, is
yeah,
that allowed? Joe, you want to speak to
we
that?
have the planner.
Or does the applicant have any insight?
I mean, it seems like they've got
Yeah.
a hedge on the landscape plan. They have a hedge behind it, so it's almost like it's kind of been borrowed property. Anyhow, I'm not trying to make a problem for it, but it should be probably documented appropriately.
Mhm.
You're talking about that turnout right there?
Yeah, the question is it allowed to go beyond the property line?
When we're given
Well-
approval to the driveway across the property line.
Yeah,
Right.
So we
Yeah,
need
and if that's the
clarification from, we need clarification from the applicant because it's not shown in the landscape plan, but it is shown here. So which is correct?
We believe that is correct, that it does cross the property line. It has. That's always done that. It also crosses the property line at the street too.
Sorry, who is this?
I'm sorry, I'm Michael, I work for Sophie.
Okay.
is,
we're both
is
in the
that
meeting.
is that turnout a requirement for fire access? The way it's dimensioned?
I don't think so. But the modification was that blue area.
Okay, so I think, Robert, let's add a. let's
Here
add
has
one
some-
comment. Oh,
I could speak, well, so, yeah, our landscape plans are, I think this is showing the existing conditions, but our landscape plans are the ones that we have, currently we have a planter design for that space, so we'd be bringing it back to compliance if it was out of compliance.
okay.
Okay, so we just need clarification on that for next
Yeah.
time.
Do you want to make a comment about it?
Well, I think the comment should be that the applicant needs to resolve getting proper approval if the proposal is to put a turnout across property line. Otherwise, he's needs to be addressed, which is probably to remove it from the plans. So
Mhm.
I don't know what the proper, navigation of that is, but I don't think the board should approve showing driveway going across the property line without being addressed properly. Otherwise, we're kind of supporting that.
I think maybe adding to that, confirm that all site plans agree on proposed and existing conditions to remain. That the architects and the landscape plans agree. Any other comments, Robert? Okay, Josh?
I don't have any further comments.
Okay. Chris, I'll just keep going down the line.
Sure. No comment.
Okay, and we have Alex, is John and Val, any?
No.
Okay, so Alex's motion for preliminary approval with the comments. All votes in favor.
A second?
We got a
Yeah, I
second from
second.
Val.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Like,
Okay,
And
and return
Want
return on final with full board.
to make sure that the maker of the motion is okay with the new comment, right?
Yes, confirm.
Final on full board?
Yes.
Okay.
Or unless someone wants it otherwise.
No, I would make it on consent. It seems like we've seen just about as much as we're going to see.
Okay,
Right? Yeah, yeah,
final on consent.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
That's fine. Okay. Move on to item 2.
I'm sorry, did I miss it? Is it final on consent when we come back?
Final on consent, yes.
Thank you.
I actually think. I know, but like I can't see everyone. I know, it's like. No. No, it's just because you're either facing half the group or half the group. Okay. This is item 2, the Cookie Trust Edition at the request of Steve Walton, agent for Cookie Trust. The site is at 3517 Padaro Lane in the Toro Canyon area. It's here for conceptual review on 920 square foot addition and remodel of an existing single family residence. There is an existing 930 square foot main house and deck, balcony, modest guest house, and a 400 square foot garage with another deck. And if the applicant is here, they can state their name.
There we go. Hi, Steve Welton from Suzanne Elledge's office. We represent the owners. With me is Sylvia Kuhl, the architect, and Jeffrey Albrook, also from the architecture team.
Thank you.
So this project actually came before your group about a year and a half ago with a different owner. So it's similar to what you've seen perhaps previously. I think many of you were on that board at the time. We're here for a CDP. It's in the coastal appeals jurisdiction, so we'll go to a hearing. And there is a request for a modification similar to the last time. The existing structure, just portions of it stick a little bit into the side yard setback. And so in order to repeat the architecture, we're asking for a similar boon on the next addition, which you'll see when we go through the plans. So with that, I'll just hand it off to, by the way, I haven't been here since we've in person, so I'm not sure what the procedure is here, David, but are you going to advance the slides or?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay, great. So Sylvia, if you want to go ahead.
so and I apologize. So we're having issues with some of our wireless technology today. So if that's not quite working, I may have to ask you to go to the podium.
Good morning. My name is Sylvia Kuhl. I'm the architect for this project. As Steve said, it's like a modest 920, we're proposing a modest 920 square foot addition to an existing beach bungalow. You can see here in the front page is the beach view. You can see vaguely four volumes. The two right volumes are the existing building, and there's no modification proposed to that portion other than replacing the windows with new working windows. We keep the wood siding. And then on the left side, you see is the addition. And we're basically imitating or using the existing expression, architectural expression also for the addition. So if you go to the next page, you can see the survey. You can see the on the right side, you see the 930 square foot existing main house. It's two 45-degree rotated volumes, and on the right side, an existing, I believe, 400 or something deck. There's no modification proposed to the deck. And on the left, you can see an existing 763 square foot guest house. No changes proposed to the guest house. If you go to the next. Is existing condition. At the bottom three pictures, you can see the existing main house, the fenestration very open to the beach. The middle portions, you can see the courtyard between the guest house and the main house on the beach, and then the top row, you can see the guest house, no modification proposed there. In the middle picture is an existing gate. I can address later. We want to move that closer to Bodao. And we also, you can see this deteriorating fencing. We will replace that all with new 6-foot tall walls. Next. Existing condition again. Existing single family dwelling on the right with the deck. Next. Existing floor plan. You can see the entire residence is elevated to the second floor on piles. There's only a storage room on the ground floor. There's no modification or addition proposed to that storage on the ground floor, only to the second floor. Next. The existing elevations. What you can see here, and that we also maintained that, you can see that there's flying roofs, and they open up to the, it's a rotated, but to the beach and to the courtyard, you have large fenestration, and then to the neighbors, to the property line, there's only smaller windows, clear story windows, most of them above eye level for privacy. Next. This is just that you can see that there's we keep all the exterior walls of the existing residence and only proposing interior remodel. This is the demo plan. Next, please. This is the proposed site plan. Again, you can see we're adding 2 volumes to the existing 2 volumes of the existing main house on the right side. You can clearly see the 5-foot and 3-foot setback. So we're proposing that the 4 red triangles show the encroachment Steve has pointed out earlier. So the same approachment as with the existing volumes. We actually were really careful. We literally wanted the new roofs to have the same proportion and slope. They're kind of slightly angled, and so to achieve the same architectural style, we actually had to keep all the volume the same width and about the same length to achieve, maintaining the style of this beach cottage and therefore the encroachment, really to keep the architectural style. Additionally, on the left side, you can see the new proposed 6-foot gate, fence, 6-foot tall walls on both property lines. There's no modification to the guest house, and then we're proposing a new decomposed granite driveway, native kind of duneland, Mediterranean landscape.
Okay. Are there any additional sheets that you'd like us to?
Sorry?
Are there any additional plans you'd like us to look at?
Yes, let's go to the elevation so you can see. So this is what I pointed out, large windows to the beach, very small windows to the neighbor. And if you go to the next page, also the same thing. You can see on the second volume, on the bottom second volume from the right, that's the air conditioning. It's fenced in, elevated to the second floor. So the entire addition is second floor with piles on the first floor.
You can keep going. Keep scrolling
Yeah, these are just interior elevations and finish. Yeah, that's it.
to look at those.
And here's the landscape plan, preliminary landscape plan.
Okay. All right, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
I would just add quickly that we, as Sylvia mentioned, we're on piles, and so we're elevated. We have to be elevated above a certain floor elevation to meet flood control requirements, which is why the air conditioning is elevated too.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions from the board?
Yeah, materials, are they matching existing, or is it wood siding, horizontal lap siding, what is it?
Thank you for the question. The existing main house has vertical wood siding. It's about 6 inches vertical board. We will just repair those and paint them white and keep it, and then we put new windows in because the old ones are.
Windows are aluminum or wood, what?
New aluminum windows, white with white.
And the roof?
We wanted to propose a new like composite shake roof.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions?
Is that, so
I think we're-
the DG motor court, is it all of that decomposed granite that's being shown here?
Yes. And no, it's not. It's not. Sorry. The actual carport, which is underneath the addition, those are concrete.
Right, okay, but all of this, all the way in, this is all DG?
Yes.
Oh, what happened there? That's on mine. Okay, sorry.
Yes, everything which has this gray fill is DG.
What's the
Correct.
current condition?
It's gravel, I believe.
Gravel, okay,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, I'm gonna erase that here in a second.
Okay. Did you have a question, Robert?
Is there a drawing for the gate?
No, we're working on the gate drawing.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we can move on to public comment. Are there any letters in the folder or anyone online or in person? I don't have any speaker slips.
No speakers on this item.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to comments from the board. Start with Robert this time.
As far as architectural improvements, I think that they're getting to the structure, and I'm a landscape architect, so I'll focus on the site plan and landscape plan here. I think your landscape plan needs further development. We need a full list of your plant species. I see you got 4 of them there, but I assume there's probably going to be more than that. And I'd like to know more information of what this home looks like in terms of the landscape while it's viewed from the beach, because I think that's kind of the most impactful part of the project is people walk in front of this thing. So I'd encourage you to develop an appropriate landscape plan that works with the front of the structure as it faces the public right away on the beach, because it's really important. I assume there's like a rock wall there and a stepway that's kind of shown. Yeah, that's existing. And then the rest of that's all sand.
It's actually currently, what's it called, the ice plant, and we want to propose to remove the ice plant and make it more like a natural dune landscape with.
Okay, well,
If you go
I
to
think
the-
we need some definition of how that's accomplished, because right now it's labeled as a beach garden, which is vague and kind of undefined. So I just encourage further development of your landscape plan. We need to know the species of the hedging, the trees that you're proposing. And
We are engaging a landscape architect, so this is
Well-
our concept
Well-
stab at this, but just for the view from the beach, there's a mound.
We can, we'll have responses at the end if that's okay, just so we can consolidate.
Okay, so my comment is that we need to have a drawing of the gate. We need to have a further defined landscape plan with a list of species, including the hedging material, and need further development of all the landscape areas. And it's very important on what the landscape looks like as visible from the beachfront. My comment.
Thank you. Josh?
So my comments are generally that the the proposal seems fine. In terms of like mass bulk and scale and compatibility with the neighborhood, I think we can find that, or I can find that that's been done very appropriately. The architectural style is fine. I think I appreciate the way in which they're adapting to the existing architecture and continuing it. And it just kind of makes the addition blend very nicely. So, comments to return with, I'm a little uncomfortable with the plans, the site plans not really showing the full extent of the beach survey. If you go back to some of the survey site plans, it seems to be clipped off. Not the survey shows it fine, but then when we get to the architectural drawings, seems to be. I doubt if this is intentional, but the one you just passed and that one, it's totally cut off. So I think it just needs to be shown very carefully. Kind of a sensitive resource on the project, and we need to make sure we know exactly what's going on there. Other than that, I don't have any further comments.
Thanks. Chris?
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with Josh. I think you're on the right track architecturally. I'd like, and Robert too, I'd like to see a lot more development of the landscape, both showing existing conditions versus proposed, and flush out what the proposed planting, and I think it's an awful lot of DG, not my favorite material. You might consider incorporating some other flat work, permeable pavers, whatever it is, to break that up here and there. The fire pit, I'm a little confounded by. I'm not sure that's ever going to get used, considering you're basically in the driveway. I'm kind of wondering what the thought was there on that location versus, I don't know, maybe out by the wall by the beach or something might be a more appropriate location. And also the scale of that looks pretty large. So I would just encourage you to get a landscape designer or landscape architect on board and really, key into the whole site. And I think that's all I would add.
Okay. Okay, Alex?
Well, I have nothing to add. I agree with all the comments.
John?
I think that,
John, you might have to share. You might have to share. I think that wireless one is
not
not working.
Oh.
Come on over.
That, I think that, I like it. It's, informal, not too structured. Classic California beach house. I think it's nice. And I know that, you planned it that way, and I think it's successful.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little more about the neighbor where you're asking for the modification, that building? What is that? And is there a photo or some depiction of what the neighbor building is doing there? Because we should have more information about that.
If you can go to the photos, maybe while you're asking this, if I can comment a little bit on the site plan we are on, because we had a lot of thoughts. We can bring photos and we have them in the office. We can look at what is on the plans here. So you can see that there's on the plan north, there's two structures. There are beachfront structure and then a Padao structure. And we carefully studied that all the openings which are adjacent to another house, that we make those the clear story windows so you can't look at each other, and make sure that the large windows are only where, still have views to the beach. So you can see, for example, at Plan South, that building is further back. So the first two existing volume and the first new volume do look out to the beach and they have windows. And then the last volume, what's Padao, we can go in the elevation again, has no windows there because you would just look directly at the neighbor. And then the other way around to the courtyard. The first new addition has a large opening. And then the one at the stair currently already has a large opening, but the other two are closed off to the neighbors. So,
Could we go back to the elevations?
yeah.
And have you had dialogue with the neighbors regarding this? It's hard for us to tell, looking at this today, how much it's changing, what the existing condition is of what would have been open space to now structure that's very close to other buildings. So,
Val, if we don't have enough information about the neighboring property, would you want to just make a comment that you'd like to see clearer photos of how that'll impact for the next?
yeah, I think that can be turned into the comment. I like what you're doing in terms of the architecture and the way you're working with the existing beach cottage nature of it, but you're asking for a mod, so we need to understand the relationship to the neighbors and, typically beach houses always create extra impact. So we want to have confirmation that the neighbors are aware of this and are comfortable with your proposal.
Yes.
And I would concur with the landscape comments, all of them. And yeah, too much DG.
Okay, thank you. And for my comments, I agree with the previous comments as well. I think the site plan deserves a little more study of the programming of the spaces where there's vehicles versus the homeowner's use. There's no separation right now or change of materials. I also think the site planning should include Josh's comment going out to on the beach side, but also out to the street side. The landscape plan is clipped off at the fencing, but that will impact, the new fencing gate will impact outside of, on the roadside. So those public views will be impacted and we want to see what improvements will be made. And that concludes my comments. Would anyone like to, well, this is agendized for conceptual review.
We retain for prelim. Full board.
Yeah.
Does it need the board approval before going into a modification, right?
Yes, but it's not, so it can only come back for preliminary, but we can't, I guess my comment would be that it seems that the board is in support of the modification request, but we can't formalize that until a prelim.
Right. I would like a little bit more information about the windows. Are the ones on the bottom, the ones that are facing, because the whole thing is turned 45 degrees. I'm having a hard time figuring out what the, where the window, where is the privacy issues, where exactly happen. If you can clarify that next time, as far as the modification, it's really technicality because it's just the point, and it's it could be much worse. The wall could be right at the 5-foot line, and it would be a lot more impactful.
Yeah.
But I think you need to clarify exactly where those big windows are facing to.
Okay. So
Also,
return prelim.
Lastly, it looks like you have this modeled in 3D. I think it would be helpful for us to see a few more shots, renderings.
Yes.
Because of that 45-degree turn. I think, it's a little hard to see the elevations.
Could probably render a site plan from a roof plan, render you a roof plan, and then you would see exactly. And obviously, we can show you where the structures are. I know it's complicated to understand because of the rotation.
Right.
And it's all thought about, and we can demonstrate this here.
Okay, appreciate it.
Return prelim full board. Before we move on to 3, I just wanted to note, because we're running into a lot of these modifications, that this one we're purposely agendizing only for prelim, but I think it's a collaboration between our board and planning that we just make sure we don't confuse the applicants that we're agendizing things for final if they still need to go to the zoning administrator, because people are coming in thinking that they're going to get final if everything's in line, but they have that step that is out of our control. So I'm gonna put it out there. All right, item 3, the Akavian Family Trust Pergola. At the request of Stacy Isaac, the Akavian Family Trust for the property at 3860 Sterrett Avenue in Eastern Goleta Valley area. This item is here for conceptual review for new hardscape, front entry, steps and wall, new fence along the property line, 280 square foot pergola, new gas fire pit, and renovated landscaping of 225 square feet. There's an existing residence garage and guest house and trash. So, you see? Yeah.
Yeah, Stacy Isaac, landscape architect. So this is on the backside of Foothill Road. It abuts it, as you can see. But you enter it on Starrett Avenue, coming up from the photos. It's really up on a hill, and you can see a lot of it is screened. The only shots that you can really see of the house from the road is number 5. That's about the closest that you can get. And this is the first part of what they see as like a 3-phase project. So a lot of this right now is this house had no construction documents on record. It was built mid-century, kind of strange. So we're just trying to take it through the process of getting it first into conformity. And you can see there's a lot of things about it that need work, but with limited budget, we're just trying to address the kind of the first stage here. They'll be tackling architecture next. So looking up from the side, yeah, you don't see much coming from Starrett Avenue. That's the one shot that you see of the house. We are removing, you can see that structure in number 9 that has been sold. That was a 20-something. And so that's leaving. Number 10, that is just, it's a really nice tree. We're preserving any of the large trees. All the oak trees are protected. 11 is kind of open, kind of the middle space right there, just open lot. We're not touching that. Number 12, that is the guest house that's on the project. Just leaving that as is. But you can see like that arbor, the eyebrow trellis of the doors, that's coming off. Just trying to get rid of that weird ramp. A lot of the woodwork on the exterior. So you can see the 2 decks in number 14, and you can see it, the entry right now in number 17 takes you into the dining room as opposed to directly into the house. 18 is the garage that's set back. 19 is just the side of the house, utility side. 20 is the back gate leaving onto Foothill Road. If you scroll down, or can I?
Stacy, are there elevations or just images?
There's elevation.
Okay.
Oh, elevation. You'll see, yeah, we're going to get to what we're proposing, but this is just to show you the current state of where we're at. Removing all of the hardscape that's existing in the back right now. That's part of this portion of the project. Number 29 is where we're putting the new pergola and outdoor fire pit and leaving the gate. And that's where we're doing the fencing too, is just moving it to the property line. There's actually an existing wood fence. We just want to move it to the property line and keep it at 6 feet. So we screen off more of Foothill Road.
Okay, I think we can move on to.
And then, yeah, we're ready for the next sheet. That's just the existing conditions. So you can see all of the demo that's occurring, removing the shed that's right here, the 150 square feet, taking off the front 2 decks that are rotting out right now. A little bit, I want to free the eucalyptus that's on the side of the house that's really nice, and taking out all of the hardscape in the back and another couple of sheds that just need to go. And so that's kind of the first stage of, those are all out of conformity that need to leave. And then moving the 6-foot high wood fence where it is now, just up to the property line in the back. I think next sheet. There it comes. So this is what we're proposing, is just a new entry because they would like it to be more useful. And they have an existing door here that actually goes into the living space. So they'd like to enter into the living room. So we're just adding a new wall here with a built-in outdoor lounge, because the views are this way, going out towards Starrett Avenue, that's towards the ocean. Just a simple set of steps going up. It's all masonry, plaster finish with Kata pavers coming in, and then we're gonna match it in the back with Kata pavers, steel pergola, and fire pit. That it looks like a fireplace, but it's really built like a fire pit. So it's kind of classified differently. You can go to the next sheet. You could scroll so I can see. There you are. So yes, it looks like a high wall because of where the entry is. So we're making it a little bit higher because they'd like to be sheltered from the weather with a raised planter where the old deck was, and just going to seal off that entry altogether. And then this is just going through now through the living room and up, and doing a little bit of garden work right here on the front to just sort of soften the wall effect. And then in the back, if you go down, there's an elevation of it's just a simple steel pergola and fire pit.
You have an elevation of the new gate.
We don't have a new gate.
Oh, it's an existing gate, just
It's
moving it out.
Yeah,
Okay,
it'll be just wood styled 6 feet tall.
okay.
Simple along Foothill Road. And there's a lot of planting that exists still between the property line and Foothill that we will not touch at this point
Okay,
unless it's for fire. And that's it. That's all we're doing.
thank you. Any questions from the board?
Yeah. The shed, can you go to the site plan, David, please? See that shed?
The one that's getting removed?
Yeah, is that driveway remaining?
For now, it's remaining. Eventually it'll go away.
Okay, so this would what,
That's just a vestige of what was there when they bought it. It's a
that'll be
full acre.
parking then for a while, and then,
Nobody uses it.
okay. All right, and then, is this accurate? I mean, you basically have a lot of driveway. Is that? is
It's
there-
existing.
Right, is there any, plan to sort of, soften up against the house?
I mean, it's outside of what the work limits right now, but eventually, yes. And also to up by the house, I mean, our eventual plan is to go with all chip seal and definitely reducing the hardscapes,
Okay, but so this is phased.
but it's phased. So we're only at phase 1.
Okay.
Limited funds. They're really saving their money to do the house,
Okay, that's my only question.
and that'll get done with the house.
Yeah.
I have a question
What
about
about- I think Val's just trying then.
Me It looks like the driveway approach is right next to the entry wall, the new entry wall. Is that true? Do you have room for landscaping?
Oh, the driveway approach is next to the new entry wall. What do you mean entry wall?
Well, that whole patio that you're creating
Oh.
and the stairs up to the front door and the
Yes.
seating area above.
So you'll pull in, so we softened it on the right-hand side on the corner, took out all the paving there. So as you approach it, it's softened, but that's still the drop-off zone, and you can see where the parking is really located, is
So
just
there's-
past that.
There's no landscaping in front of that wall.
I can throw in, it's not wide enough, and as you can see that the slope really drops off on the side at this point. Without doing extensive grading, I can't really do a ton of work. I mean, I can possibly push the wall back to get a few plants in there, but there's plenty of room to pass through with a car. And there's, as you can see, a lot of turnaround space just past it.
Okay.
Sorry, Alex?
So what material are you using on the wall?
Plaster,
Plaster.
just CMU with a smooth plaster finish in white.
And the house is going to remain, at least for now, it's going to
As
be the
is for now.
siding, whatever it is.
Correct. The eventual plan is to take the house more Mediterranean and go all plaster finish and all new windows and doors, and
Okay.
they just got the cost estimate on that and said, we need to reduce.
What is the height of the wall at this corner?
It is 6 feet just right at the corner, and then it reduces down to 4.5.
Does the 6 feet include the portion that you're using as a guardrail?
Go back to the elevation. Let's take a look. Sorry, I submitted this like 3 months ago. So actually, no, it's only 5 feet right there. There's the full, if you zoom in, you can see with the full extent. I have it measured.
You keep
So yeah, 6 feet right at the corner on the retaining portion, 8 feet 6 if you include the parapet, kind of. And that's where the lounge is, where they'd be seating.
It's
It's just built in.
8 feet 9 inches to the top, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
You come through an opening, that drawing's a little bit strange. Can you zoom in?
Yeah, you can see it in the plan view.
Yeah,
You can see it in plan view.
Wall steps.
On the plastic?
Yeah, I'm showing the steps graphically behind the wall.
It's just the dimensions are.
So you
over
can see, we step up the wall, typical Medi style.
I see, I see.
there. Okay, any other questions?
Oh, and you have an extra 1 foot of railing on top.
Yeah, to meet the 42-inch standard.
Were you planning on planting on this pergola?
Oh, yeah, we'll put vines on the pergola. Most likely a wisteria.
Is there a reason you didn't bring the railing down away?
Because they wanted more protection from the wind on this side because there is a lounge in there. The lounge, I can't bring the railing down in order to protect that corner.
Okay,
So we're keeping it consistent.
any other questions?
Would the vine survive on the steel?
Oh, easily. Oh, not for a wisteria in Santa Barbara.
They'll shade the steel,
Yeah.
cooling it.
Are you in high fire zone here?
We are not.
Okay.
Surprisingly, because we're south of Foothill.
Okay.
Yeah.
So make
Yeah.
sure with the, okay.
Crazy, I know.
Yeah.
Trust me, I think about it.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, we'll open for public comment. Is there, I didn't see any letters in there. Is there any
No.
in the audience?
No request to speak on this item.
Okay, so we'll begin with comments. We'll start with Val this time.
Go back to the plan view of this entry and wall. Not with the best. Yeah, there. Can you zoom in on that? Now, the drive-through, I guess I need the site plan. Or something where I can see what the car is doing. But you have parking beyond. That whole wall design feels very harsh and difficult to me. You've got so much paving on this site. It doesn't feel like the best solution to how to make a better entry. But there's so much car traffic. So you have entrance from the right upper, entrance from the left lower. The primary entrance is the upper right. And is there a garage?
There is.
Is it next to the 2 cars on the left?
Yes. Yeah.
So the primary home use would come in from the left?
No.
Go into the garage?
No. They come in from Starrett and go all the way. They pass the front of the house and go back to the garage.
Can they use the left side instead?
They don't. They really only have that as an emergency egress onto Foothill because Foothill, the traffic is so fast. It would be very dangerous for them to stop and pull in a Foothill.
Because seems like a classic case of an older house that's been governed by old habits with tons of paving and cars dominating what could be a really beautiful site. And this is your opportunity to rethink that. And I'm worried that if you put that big wall there, you've kind of taken a path that is going to just perpetuate it.
Well, I think part of the problem is that the house elevation is 5 feet above grade there.
No, I mean, that's
And
part of the challenge.
exactly, and,
Yeah.
but
We
the
are in comments
future.
right now,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you can have a couple minutes at the end, Stacy, to.
Sure.
I need to just speak. So
Yeah.
I think that it's not a great solution for making the entry more hospitable.
Okay. All right. John, do you have any comments?
Oh, I mean, No, I think that's a good thought that you could restudy that entrance and make it more inviting. It seems kind of standoffish. Are the views out from that? So that's really where they would congregate there outside?
Mhm. Right.
Well, I think that's that Valerie has a good thought that you could reconsider that, and it's really the most important part of this development. Well, I guess at the patio where the fireplace is also, but I think that could use more thought there.
All right.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is the phasing of the work that you're dealing with. That you have plans, but you can only do a little bit now. I would like to see the asphalt removal plan. I mean, what is there are tons of paving, and it's and there's got to be a way to. I mean, what is the plan? What is the proposal or the final proposal? If you think, well, gee, when we have money, or I mean, removing paving is not that expensive. It could be part of the first phase. You know, like it's just that there is so much of it. It's parking here, there, in the west, on the south, on the north, and it is just all over the place. So that's the part that seems discombobulated. I think the individual elements that you're designing are appealing. They have. I consider there's a good beginning of. I mean, they have good ideas, but. It's just you're dealing with an existing condition that is really not acceptable. I mean, it's just something is to, if you're going to add more, if you're going to do some changes, you have to figure out how to remove some of this amount of paving.
Right, Chris?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same, that the phasing is odd. And I guess question, you said the house is the next phase. Are you talking interior?
The exterior and interior remodel.
Okay, because it seems odd to put a bunch of things, new things right outside the exterior of the house and then come back later and possibly damage all that new stuff. But I mean, you guys have already talked about it, but I would just say that I agree with the previous comments in that there's so much paving and it would be a great opportunity and for very little money to help, especially, you know, out on this corner where that's the main view from the public right away. Seems like you could really get a significant planner there. And then beyond that, I agree with Val that this wall here, almost 9 feet, is just super stark. And obviously you're limited with how much space you have there. But even if you added a couple of vine pockets, to train something up on that wall. Is that south facing? But yeah, I mean, it's like walking up to just a big blank wall to your front door every time. It seems like there could be a softer solution, let's say. And I think that's pretty much all I would add to what the previous comments were.
Okay.
Thanks.
Josh?
I'm not struggling with this too much. I think it seems like a reasonable proposal. So I don't have anything to add to this significantly to the discussion. Just trying to think of any comment I have that's different than what's been said. Anyway, I generally just think it's a supportable and reasonable proposal.
Robert?
Uh, I think the backyard seems nicely proposed. I mean, the trellis and fire pit seem like a great space. One thing I would suggest looking at is potentially if any of the paving around the house back there, if there's spots to get planters in against the house, it's something I always try to encourage is, I see you had some pots back there. Maybe the owners don't want to have planters, but anyhow, you look at that. I kind of agree with the other comments that that tall wall in the front seems like not the most desirable. And I know this is like adding scope to your project, but if potentially if you looked at the driveway in front of that wall, and if there was a way to design just a space that's kind of like how you pull up to the front of the house as part of how it interfaces with the entry into the house, maybe there's opportunity to move it just a little bit away from that wall and get either like a stepped planter or something to allow you to screen that wall a little bit. So I would encourage looking at the approach of the vehicle and the entry into the house is all one piece and not just building a new wall to make a patio up there. And, going into that entry, I think it's 4 feet wide and you're gonna have like a 6-foot high wall or something like that right in front of your face. And then you turn a 90 degree. It's just it's like walking up an alleyway. It's a little bit awkward in my opinion. And it seems like the other board members echo that. So,
Yeah.
I think your plans are very well drawn and maybe there's just a little minor change there that can improve it.
That's good. And I agree with the previous, yes.
I'd like to add, consider the possibility of putting a retaining wall to the southwest there to expand the driveway. That would allow you to move the deck to the southwest and make it larger. And that would give you more flexibility and to design that deck. Yeah, that's sort of.
Do you have room to make a porte cochere and make that, because that's your ocean view, right? The entry is. Why not go over the driveway with your deck space and forget the big wall and open it up so that there's more space to pull up? And you'd still have to find a way to get up to the upper level. But then you could have a much bigger living space outside up there if you can work with that tree.
So
Being
Mike,
right
please.
against the big tall walls is not a great.
Yeah,
symmetry.
it's too barren there. Another thing to consider would be a change in paving, sort of create a sense of arrival at that area, but I still think there are bigger problems with this wall here. So there's a lot of comments there.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All right, so I think this one could come back for concept and prelim together. Full board.
Okay.
Okay, any additional? Okay. Thank you.
It would be nice to come up with a asphalt removal plan early, even if it's conceptual, it'll help everybody.
As I said, money is a limit here. So yeah, I understand. I mean, I obviously have a lot of the same feelings you do, but I also have to take budget into consideration too. So
But now is the chance
Yeah.
to do the big picture,
Yeah,
even if you don't.
we have a big picture, but we can only do so much at once.
We would still like
Absolutely.
to see
You know that.
For sure, but I can't present the whole picture because then you guys expect me to do it all now instead of saying, we're only
No,
doing phase one
This is
here.
planning, so you can,
Okay.
as a design review board, it's better for us to see the whole picture.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, we have it. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. All right, moving on to item 4, Hickson Garage, at the request of Britt Jewett, for Hickson Andrew, 2001 Trust. The project is located at 2729 Puesta del Sol in the Mission Canyon area. It's here for conceptual review of a new 500 square foot detached 2-car garage. There's an existing residence ADU and detached ADU. a small one, 273 square feet. And there's no cut and fill proposed. So if the applicant can state his name and.
Hi, my name's Brett Jewett. I'm the architect. Basically, what we're going to do is present a new 500 square foot detached garage on the property. It's an impacted development opportunity on this site because of the existing oak tree and different setback conditions that we have. We're looking to focus on the footprint and site plan today with showing impacts to the neighbors and the existing landscape so that we can go before planning and ask for a modification to the front yard setback. So if we look at sheet A 0.2, this is the site plan. And you can see that the lot has more trees than the neighbors. And so the development opportunities are really limited. The photos from the site itself show that there are a few existing specimen trees there. There's a cactus that we really like and some larger oak trees. And then there are some smaller oak trees too. So we can go to the next sheets, sheet A3, please. So this is a diagram that shows the different types of limitations that we have. We have 3 setback limitations. One is a property line setbacks. The only one that we can really violate is the front, where we can go to 13 or 16 and a half feet from the right of way as an encroachment. There's a building to building setbacks that we cannot encroach on. And then there's also oak tree drip line setbacks that we have some opportunities to encroach on with the proper mitigation. So what we look at then is how to move the footprint within these different setbacks. And as you can see, there's 4 studies to the left there. The least impactful takes out 2 trees and requires mitigation for 3 trees. The other 2 or other 3 are showing the garage in different locations as we push the limits of the side yard setbacks and front yard setbacks. The 2 lower studies would require the driveway to be relocated, and because of its proximity to there's a T intersection, that's not really an option. So the backup distance on those are less than 25 feet. And so what we're seeing is that the least impactful has 2 trees removed, 9 trees impacted. And we have the next page is the arborist report that goes through the impacts of that proposal and the remediation being 3 boxed 36-inch oak trees to mitigate that proposal. So we can go to the next. We did, these are photos from the arborist report, and so we can just keep going, I guess. So this is the location that we're proposing, where you can see the bottom left corner of the garage is in the forward of the front setback, but out of the proposed setback modification limit. Because the geometry or the site, the rear of this garage will be down about 3 feet into the grade, so that the back wall has a minor or a lessened impact to the house. The driveway maintains its current location, backup distances, and paving are within the civil engineering standards for maneuverability, and majority of the footprint is over existing disturbed areas. So we feel like this solution is the least impactful. You can go to the next. These are the elevations. The house has a flat roof, steel windows, so we're just following the aesthetics of the house, keeping a flat roof because it has the least massing impact to the front of the street, doing an eyebrow above the garage doors to break up that massing and add a little bit of shadow, and then a low wall to create a courtyard sort of feeling as we enter the main house along the existing pathway. And then we'll have an opportunity to enhance the plantings in front and give a reason for the sort of walled entry that we're creating. So go to the next. This is the 2 site sections that show we're well below the 16-foot height limit, and how the rear of the garage is set into the grade a little bit, bringing the height of the garage down to what would be like a site wall height in the back there. It's only about 8 feet tall, so that the impact from the house is also minimal. So keep going. The details are pretty straightforward. We just have a parapet wall. There's an awning detail with some knee brace framing and a custom light fixture that would be in a zinc finish. So we're looking at zinc roofs, plaster to match the house, finishes to match the house, and zinc metal accents. So principally just looking for input on the site plan so we can return with more architecture after the modification.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Hmm?
How much does the grade change between your garage site and the road? Because you can get a bonus to encroach on your front yard if there's a 7-foot drop.
It's not 7 feet.
not.
No, I'm aware of that, but yeah, it starts to pick up slope as it gets to the back of the lot, not the front.
You know, on the, is there sufficient room to turn around so you can approach a street in the front instead of backing out in the road?
Well, you've got, not really, because you've only got 16 feet, you know, from the,
Would you have to back out into the street?
yes, unless we did a paved area to the right where you would be able to pull out and then back into the right side, and then you could go out. But we're trying to limit the amount of paving. There's also a specimen cactus over in that area, and so the street is a private street. It's not heavily traveled. We'd like to do that, but I feel like it's a heavy ask considering the amount of paving and the impact to the trees.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that, the paving on the left, is that necessary? And on the, I mean, I can see, I mean, where the dimension line is located.
Yeah, that's existing paving there, and what it does is it ties into the pathway that goes to the front door. We feel that that's where a guest would park, so that they wouldn't be directly behind the garage door. But we can study the paving and the landscape plan when we return. We're basically looking for is comment on whether the footprint makes sense and whether we can come back with that footprint after a modification review.
Okay.
Okay,
Other questions?
similarly, I was just gonna make sure I understand this. So the current layout is this, right? And you're proposing, oh, I'm drawing it on my own screen.
Oh. I
me
don't know
one second.
if I can draw it on this one. One
I'll
second.
get there. So let's try this again. So is this the existing line of paving?
That's correct.
And so you're adding this as additional paving now?
We're adding, yeah, right, because we need that to be able to back out and then get onto the existing driveway apron.
Right, okay. So then to John's point, I guess, couldn't you, well, maybe there's not enough room to back out of the garage and go out head first?
Can't go that way. You'd have to go the other way. You'd have to go to the right. We looked at the maneuverability templates, both from the county and our civil engineers, and it's just too tight. You need 25 feet.
Okay,
It's like,
but this garage you probably could, right?
it's awkward because the angle is acute on that side, whereas the other direction would be a lot easier.
Okay, anyway, I was just wanting to make sure I was clear on what's the proposal is, so I'm sure you've looked at it very thoroughly.
It's hard to kind of unravel the three different layers of constraints that we have based on our setbacks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to angle the garage at all doesn't help.
Well, what happens
Your-
then is we end up taking out more trees.
Right.
So that's what those three different versions were. It's like if we hold it to each of the different type of setbacks, what are the impacts? This is our least impact, and unfortunately, we have to ask for a mod for that lower left corner.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the analysis sheet. I think that really
I
helps.
was gonna say, it's not often that we get the analysis of what's been studied when we're being requested to approve a modification. So I think those kind of studies really are helpful.
Thank you.
Any more questions from down here? No? All right, any public comment? I don't think there were any letters. No one in the audience?
I have not received any requests.
Okay, so we'll move on to comments from the board. You keep flip-flopping. Robert, would you like to start? I'm just gonna move through. Yeah.
I think it's a logical location for the garage and based on the, constraints you got going on near it. And I agree that it'd be probably nice to get some paving on the other side of that driveway there so you could try to maneuver the vehicle around that. Be pretty undesirable to try to back your car out towards the street. So I'd support you researching that. Also, I encourage you to research, get some landscaping in against that wall and the entry on the other side of where you got the existing paving. I think that would add to the space, but in terms of the location for the garage, I don't know how else you're gonna do it. But maybe these guys have other opinion.
So I think the architecture itself is reasonable and mass bulk scale and neighborhood compatibility and architectural style seem fine. Detailing seems fine. So my only concern is just the effect on the neighborhood as usual, just maintaining safety and consistency. So I believe I don't know if any standards exist in the county, but I am aware of the ones that the city produces for driveways where they have like, I think a 10-foot by 10-foot triangle area that keep clear of any vegetation or landscape material otherwise to a certain height to maintain clear visibility as you back in or out of a driveway. So I think I'm right about that, David. There isn't a standard in the county, is there, for that?
I believe it's 42 inches, right?
That's city.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know if one, but anyway, I would use the city's standard. I think it's adequate, and I would like to see that documented on the next round of plans to show just like a clear visibility area somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 feet on either side, just so that the builder and the landscape contractor have good direction on what not to put there, and the homeowner gets clear about, keeping that area clear so there's not like a blocked view. So I think that's a reasonable request. But I'll leave it to you to figure out how to make that safe. I don't want to make too much of a note of it. I don't know, Joe, you can fashion that into a concise comment about just document a way to maintain clear visibility to the public right of way on the driveway.
Chris?
Okay, yeah, I have nothing to add. I agree with the previous comments. I think it's well executed, well thought out, and I support it.
Alex?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we need to call landscape to the rescue and help out.
John?
I think that on a technical issue, your parapet detail, I've had trouble with that. You either wrap the top with an expanded metal mesh or put quarter round metal screeds on each corner, because the contrast when one side is cold and the sun is hitting the other one, and that tends to crack. So you might think about that before the day is done.
Thank you.
Val?
I think the architecture's great and it's carefully thought out. I have no further concerns. And this is backing out onto Las Encinas, right?
Correct.
Which is that's a little dead end,
10
nothing.
houses, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like you're backing out onto Puesta del Sol where people go fast. So it's a very quiet little private road. Yeah.
Great. I agree with the previous comments. I think, yeah, just studying some planting to soften the architecture and really refining how the parking and backing out is going to work with visibility. So This it was agendized for conceptual review. It feels like it could come back. Oh, no, it is requesting a modification, so it has to come back preliminary full board, so.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. All right. Should we? Item 5, that's name of the game, Alex.
And the next item, we do have a planner memo on this one.
Okay, thank you. So the Barrett edition, item 5, request of Susan Sherwin, agent of Russ Barrett. This item is here for prelim and final review of a 684 square foot addition and remodel of a single family residence. There is an existing single family residence and a garage. This is located at 5066 Rocoso Way in the Eastern Goleta Valley. There were previous comments and a planner memo. I'll start with the memo. This project on August 4th, at the meeting, this project was described as simple, low impact, and asked to return with front yard landscape plans and details for the proposed exterior lighting and gate. These details have been included. Based on the review of the application supporting materials, the proposed project is compliant. Okay, is there a second page we need to scroll to? Okay, nope. All right. Would the applicant like me to read the comments before the presentation?
Sure.
Okay. So simple and low impact project, return with a landscape plan for the front yard, return with exterior lighting details, materials and colors, and provide gate details. So you can focus your comments around those or your responses around those comments.
Okay.
Please state your name.
Thank you. Right, so this is a pretty modest project. Nothing of these plans has changed since you last saw it. If we want to move down to the landscape plan, we'll just keep going through these. Yeah, it's at the very end. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, this is the layout plan. We're going to be replacing the driveway with a new concrete driveway and also doing a concrete patio inside the courtyard and a new concrete walkway, sand finish. And then the patio will have gravel infill in the joints, just to make it a little bit more permeable and loose. If we go to the next sheet. So we have some citrus trees and grasses in the front of the fence and gate. The owner has a very large vegetable garden and likes some of his landscape to be productive. And then we have a big olive tree in the corner on the interior, and a bunch of drought tolerant landscaping that's pretty loose, a lot of grasses and things to soften that and make it so that's a space that people can use outside seating area. And then the next sheet is irrigation, which is all bead drip irrigation. And then that lower left is the fence and a fence detail, which is going to be a horizontal wood fence with two different sizes of wood. And the gate will be similar to that with just an internal frame. And then, yeah, it'll be one-sided probably. I don't know that we'll be able to afford to clad the fence on both sides, interior and exterior, but it'll be exterior and stained with the same stain that will be the garage door. Colors and materials, I think we need to go back up to the elevation sheet possibly. Yeah, which is not wonderfully rendered, but that's the, and I have, if you want to see it, I have actual colors on here. I mean, I have a sheet that's.
We'll take it. You can just pass it down. And then I saw in passing the light fixture.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, the light fixture is
looks
on the
compliant.
detail sheet, so go down. There it is. Yeah, up there.
And the gate is just a pedestrian gate, right? There's no vehicular gate.
Pardon me?
There's just a pedestrian gate proposed, right? Okay. All right, does that conclude your presentation? Any questions from the board? Oh, All right. Public comment? Yeah. Public comment, for item number 5, I don't see any on or, okay? Can you confirm, David?
Confirmed.
Okay. It's hard for me to see the hands. And we'll move on to comments from the board. Since this is minor, I guess just only if you have comments. State them.
I just had one small comment. I was looking at the plant list and I would just recommend upsizing a few of those things, like, I don't know, wistringias maybe, and some of the grasses from like 1 gallons to 5 gallons. And it's a little more money, but they just have a much better chance of living. That was it.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'd add the quantities for your plants on there too.
Yeah.
Like quantities. All right, any other comments? Okay, so this was agendized for. Sorry, yeah, it was agendized for prelim and final review. So I think with those comments, you can come back for final review on consent. Or
Maybe the planner can verify those comments.
or they could verify them, yeah. Or the plans can come to one consent reviewer, just, we can give final and then, isn't that what we've done before? Okay,
I mean, so it's really just the plant sizing and then we need quantities. That's all.
if that's the
Were
only
that the
comment,
only
then
other
yeah.
comments? Okay, well, I'll make a motion for final approval with the condition that the planner verifies that quantities were provided for plant material and the plant sizing was just a suggestion.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Nope, that was one post or?
None opposed.
I'll go with the flow.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Item 6, the St. George Residential Building at the request of Lonnie Roy, agent for Ed St. George. The project is located at 971 Embarcadero Del Mar in Isla Vista. It's for further conceptual review and prelim review of a 25-room residential building, approximately 10,196 square feet, divided between 5 groups. We have seen this before a few times, last seen on May 5th, 2023. Lonnie, would you like me to read through the comments or do you want to go one by one?
I can go through them one by one.
Go ahead.
And also kind of start with a little preface of why we're back for concept. If you want to go to the site plan sheet, sheet A1-1.
You state your name for the record.
Oh,
too, if you start.
So my name is Lonnie Roy. I'm the agent for the property owner, and with me also is Ed St. George, the property owner. So on this sheet, so the reason we are back for concept is the project was about to go to hearing for approval of the development plan, and Public Works threw a last minute comment where they said they would no longer support the driveway on Embarcadero Del Mar. So essentially the site plan rotated counterclockwise 90 degrees. And the driveway is now coming from Trigo and the building is now facing Embarcadero Del Mar. And then the building itself was, once that rotation happened, was mirrored on the east-west axis to maintain the office at the corner street intersection. So because of that change, they wanted the project to go back for a concept, to be sure you're still supportive of generally the project. And then now I will go through the comments. So A, thank you. Project and site plan significantly improved. B, if we want to go to sheet A 6.2, I will say because this was kind of a last minute, we don't have the perspective. We will get that when we come back for the preliminary approval. Yeah, that sheet. So what's noted there on the south elevation is really now the east elevation, and that is facing Embarcadero Del Mar. And some of the changes that we have made to address the comments were we add in now a base wainscoting material, and that is that hardy panel kind of architectural It has some texture and some grain. So we now kind of have a solid masonry base to the building, because I know the board's kind of struggled with it not having a strong enough base. So we now think given it a strong base. There was a comment about variation in the parapet height. So we had these decks and they were framed, and before that framing was below the parapet height. So we have extended that up to the maximum 35-foot height limit in the district. And to create some more variation in the parapet heights, we've also changed the building colors significantly to, we think, make the building a little bit more bright, fun, more Isla Vista. So before the color palette was more browns, grays. Now we've changed it to the black base, white body color, and then we're using this citronella or yellow color to really pop the corner office and pop these deck spaces, which we think also gives the building a little bit more variation, more articulation in the massing. And then the other change on there was we did add a separate entry for the ground floor residential unit, which you're seeing as that smaller entry. It's kind of framed by trellis arbor feature. We still wanted to keep it kind of understated because we want the main entry to read as the corner office. And that's really just a residential entry. So that's why we've still kind of underplayed that. And then on the rear carport side, there was a comment or suggestion to extend those columns. If we go back to one of the floor plans later, you'll see we deepen those columns to make them feel more structurally sound, because before they were pretty minimal. And there was also a suggestion to add a trellis feature. So we've added that trellis feature on the outside, and the landscape plan has vines that will go through it. And then those are the changes that we have made to address the comments.
Yeah, looks like you did address them. Okay, we'll come back to questions from the board.
And zoom in on the east elevation. What's the material on the tall dark element?
The stairwell, it's just going to be plaster painted in that kind of
In
gray.
that iron ore?
Yeah, correct.
So that's plaster.
Correct.
Question there, but the other element, that's an opening, right? Isn't it like a little patio where or am I getting confused?
Correct. So kind of on that elevation, the white that's behind the wire mesh railing. Yeah. So that's further back. It's going to be about 5 or 6 feet. And then the black portion that's above that would be in the outer plane.
So yeah, so we're talking about that, right? I think I saw it.
Correct. Yes. So that is indented into the building.
It's confusing to read because one is the elevations are at 1/8 inch, so that's small. We really need to see them big. And then two, if they are, what it says east is not east, is what.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
and on top of that, drafting wise, that is that would be a dark space, right? The space in that is metal. When it says iron ore, would that be plaster or would be some kind of a metal grill? Isn't it like a balcony? Isn't that what
Yeah.
that is?
So that would be plaster, just painted that color. The railings themselves are a metal wire mesh, which would have a more substantial frame.
But which one is plaster? I mean, it's all from this
So
distance, it all looks the same. It all looks like gray, but something is plaster and some is a metal mesh. Is that what you're saying?
Where it says iron ore is plaster, what's circled on there, that is the railing, that would be the wire mesh.
Okay. And well, I guess that's it. Yeah.
Can we go through the landscape real quick?
Yeah.
Which you had last time.
So yeah, essentially it's the same plan and program, just kind of flipped. There were some changes to quantities and items like that with the change of direction, but we still have the kind of alternating palm tree and vertical trees along the drive aisle. the accent tree along Embarcadero Del Mar, and then some few other palm trees along there. Yeah. So it's, I mean, I would describe it kind of more as a coastal palette.
I have a question. When you rotated it, it's not an exact like for like because one dimension is bigger than the other, right? Like you have more parking space or what do you think?
They're almost the same. The flip was slightly smaller just due to how the right of ways impacted it. So the building did decrease by 100 square feet, but they are virtually the same. It's pretty much a square parcel.
And it's as far against Embarcadero as possible, the building, or what's the story there? I mean, how did you choose to put more landscape space versus back versus the front and so on?
It is as close to Embarcadero as it can be without changing the building, how it currently was, because the setback, because Embarcadero Del Mar curves, setback curves, so we do have more space potentially at that corner that we could have bumped out the building, but we didn't. We just rotated it to that pinch point.
Okay.
So there is more landscape space in front of the building now, on that larger frontage.
Okay.
We wouldn't have, hi, Alex. We wouldn't have a problem if you want to move it like another 10 or 20 degrees towards the road. That's the board's choice or desire. If you want to move it at the same angle of the street somewhat, we kind of discussed that. We don't have a problem with that. But I think it works the way it does now, but that was something we discussed.
Okay.
Other questions? I just have one to clarify, just when we're trying to cross-reference the planting you're proposing in the, like intersection corner, is it just Diamondia and Salvia Bees Bliss? It's just gonna be a high traffic area, so
Yeah, in the Parkway strip.
not the park, oh yeah, I guess the inside of as the sidewalk wraps around on the property side of the sidewalk, but.
Yeah, I think there's 3 plants. Let me look at my plans real quick.
Just those plants there are gonna get pretty heavily impacted, so. Use carefully. Okay, so I can formulate a comment and you can move on in a second. Is there any public comment? I don't think we have any letters.
No requests.
Okay.
I have a question then. So what's in the parkway? Where is the hatch? What is that? Is
It's
that?
Diamondia and Salvia Bees Bliss, a ground cover stage.
But then there's also something else, right? Like, yeah.
It's a mixture, yeah.
I mean, there's no way to put any trees or anything there, or the public works is.
On Trigo,
oh, yeah,
there's,
okay, yeah.
on Trigo, there's a substantial number of utilities that currently encumber that parkway. We probably can add another street tree on Embarcadero Del Mar, because right now there's a driveway there and that's being removed. So we probably can fit another street tree in there if that's the desire.
What's the existing tree again?
It's a ficus.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's
That's a
pretty
big-
substantial.
Oh, those are huge.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we'll move on to comments.
I have just a quick question.
Okay.
That very end parking spot that you've got there, if all the parking spots are filled, can the vehicle pull into there and turn around and come out? Just looks, so you guys studied that. It just looks like it'd be incredibly
Yeah.
tight to maneuver a vehicle into that last spot with the way that the corner of the building is positioned, but.
Yeah,
This one?
it's a tight spot. It got a little bit tighter in this redesign. Yeah, I mean, a car can make it. It is tight. It does meet the current county standards. Public Works looked at it and they said it should work. It is tight.
All right, we'll move on to comments. You want to start, Robert?
Well, for you guys being, throwing a wrench in your whole project because of the location of the driveway, I don't know, it seems like it conforms to the previous reviews. I think your colors are creative. Other than that, I'll say I support it. I think it's fine. Seems like it fits into Isla Vista.
Josh?
Yeah, I appreciate too the color palette. I think it's nice. I like the way the elevations have come together. I think my previous comments on the project where I was kind of focused on was just creating some variation in the elevations, so it just didn't look like a little. I mean, I actually don't mind a little cube sitting out there in the world. That's cool. But this particular one, I was just looking to break things up a bit. So looking at the overall massing of building, a great variety and interest in the elevations, we study articulation of parapet heights. They said return with one or more perspective drawings. Did you guys, did we have those?
You didn't have a chance to update them yet.
You haven't done, and where we at? Is that something you guys are planning to,
Yeah, well,
actually, that, don't answer that. It's,
okay.
The other thing was the columns. I think those have been addressed fine, so. Yeah, I think more articulation could be added, but I don't know whether it would make any difference. I actually feel like looking at the elevations today, they make good sense to me and they seem well done and for what it is. And I'm, I think I'm satisfied that all the comments have been reviewed and addressed and dealt with. So I'm supportive of it at this point.
Chris?
Yeah, I think it looks good. Couple little things. The south elevation, which I guess is now east. I think just the fenestration in this section is a little bit odd. I would say either, I don't know, make it more orderly or make it more random. It doesn't really necessarily fit in all the other elevations. Everything seems to be, yeah, vertical. And I don't know if it's just that one that went, vertical here that's bugging, but I don't know. Anyway, study that. I'm not an architect. And then as Kaylee alluded to, maybe reconsider some of the plant species that are chosen in the high traffic areas. They will get trampled and maybe not last, and you don't want that to end up as dirt. Can we go to the landscape plan actually? And then I was just wondering if, wondering how much longer that ficus is going to be there and if it makes sense to maybe plant another tree here, get one started. May help to define that space. And then lastly, trees throughout, I think could be thought through. Odd numbers are typically better. So I would consider maybe doing, single here and then 1, 2, 3 of something. And then, I lost my pen here. But anyway, the 2, 2, 2 thing, it'd be nice to randomize that a little bit more, but just suggestion. Otherwise, I think you're looking good.
I'm just gonna, because my comment was directly related to Chris's, I'll add mine here. I generally plants that can handle, that aren't gonna snap off if you step in the center of them are gonna be more durable, like grasses, clumping grasses and things like that, just to.
Yeah.
That's
Or
what we're
things
talking
with
about.
thorns are
The
good ideas,
stages
yeah.
specifically can't handle anyone stepping on them, so. Okay, then we'll carry on with more comments. Alex?
Yeah, I think the project keeps improving. I would like to see next the quarter scale, inch scale elevations, so we see they're more clear what exactly is it that you're proposing. I'd like to see something on the rooftop, the carport. I mean the carport area. I think it's going to be pretty important in the sense that it's going to be very visible from the units, right? So maybe something can be done there. In terms of, I mean, I don't know what the plan is. There is a page with a rooftop. If you keep going down, you see there's a go down. There's a page. There's a page with there's a carport rooftop. Yeah, I think it's up. Then it's gonna be up. Yeah. Keep going. There you go. What is this? Yeah, what is that?
So I'll say the big space, that's all above the 3rd floor. And then the space in the bottom left corner, that's above the 1-story office mass.
And the carports, where are they?
They're underneath the second and third floor. They're underneath the building.
I mean, yeah, I see. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, we'll
Okay,
be on
Okay, okay, scratch that
down
comment.
the
Okay, scratch that
facade of the
comment.
building.
Scratch that comment.
Right now it doesn't. We can do that right now. It's just kind of on the building.
The building's about, so the only rooftop you're gonna see is the one on the lower left, yeah, left-hand side. Okay. All right, scratch that, yeah. Yeah, bring a quarter-inch scale elevations. I'm not totally sold on the colors. I know that to me, it looks like a wasp, like a black and yellow. I'm not sure exactly how it fits into ID, but anyway. Okay, I pass on.
John?
Yeah, I think that the rotation and the addition of more landscaping, on the Embarcadero front is beneficial. But I also think that south elevation is, on the right side, as Chris pointed out, is stark, and it needs something, either make all the windows the same or change the color of it. I think that is that tree going to be really big? Because it needs to be. I mean, I think that the right part of that south elevation is, needs more thought, or even the color. I'm not sure that a white is going to make it worse. I mean, I think a more darker color would help that, or put 2 trees in there or whatever. Whatever you can do with it, I think that needs some study.
He had, I know this is not my time to talk, but with the comment on the window, dropping it off to the side, that was a discussion we had in the office as well. So we're on board for that.
Okay.
Sure.
Anything else, John?
Good job.
Yeah,
Anything else?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would reiterate, I think you've got a much better facade from Embarcadero now, even though it really was bad that they did that in the 11th hour, but there's really a nice amount of area to landscape. And I too have been focused on that right side of what's now an important elevation. I wondered about doing something with the wainscot, maybe stepping the wainscot to make a taller feature or do something, because that looks like it should be a hidden back of a building, and it's the front. It's an important area. And I like the other elevations. I guess I thought, see, on the west elevation, that's not part of the carport little eyebrow? No, it's not. So the carport is just completely under the upper levels. But could you extend any kind of feature there?
We could, yeah, as we kind of side discussed, yeah. So right now, that trellis right now is just kind of a plant onto the building facade. We could bring that out beyond the building a couple feet and have it, be, so I would say, I guess, a
Yeah,
more
it
true
would add a
trellis.
dimension, yeah.
Yeah,
It would add a dimension to that.
correct, yeah,
Drop.
we can definitely do that.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Briefly.
I've been in Isla Vista probably too long. But if we come out much further than that, that's gonna last about 2 move-out seasons before a U-Haul truck hits it. Just takes it right out.
Yeah.
Anywhere else, I wouldn't say that, but I've just seen it too many times.
Okay.
Well, then maybe just a detail feature there, something to help delineate between where the mass of the building goes up and the carport. something you could do three-dimensionally at the beam line there. I like the colors, so, okay.
All right, if we could go, actually staying on this, I have a question directed to the architects on the board. I have the same concerns about the south elevation, and I actually think the proportions of the north elevation work well with the like strong line over the carport. And if the south elevation had instead of wainscoting being at the traditional height, if it came up to the eyebrow height, to kind of give those proportions, it might fix that elevation. So just something to study. I'm just a landscape person. But- Yeah. But, and then if we could go back to the landscape plan. So I think this new orientation, it's hard for me to remember exactly how much landscaping you had in the last one, but it seems like it gives you more opportunity for landscaping in this orientation. So I would just take the opportunity to really study your plant composition on the Embarcadero del Mar area. I won't give you too much direction. I just think you have a really good opportunity to incorporate some like maybe larger shrubs and organized plant composition. In the parkway, knowing how much traffic does go through IV, maybe it's worth looking at clumps of low plantings that can handle traffic intermixed with paving, like pervious paving materials, just to allow traffic through so you don't end up with exposed drip tubing and old mulch where everything inevitably gets walked over. And then really studying the plant species in that corner to be traffic tolerant. And I think there's something that you could place in there that doesn't hinder the sight lines, that really gives that corner some extra prominence and anchoring of the structure. And I think that's it. Anything else? So this was here for conceptual and preliminary review. So does anyone want to make a motion?
What's this, it needs a preliminary review before getting a plan approval or?
So I don't think Veronica's here yet. So you haven't received your discretionary approval yet, is that
I
correct?
think it's just concept.
I think that would just be concept then.
Okay.
That is correct.
Do we need a
So do we,
motion or no?
sounds like no motion.
So just
So there's-
direction on
there's
how
no-
to come back.
Yeah, does everyone feel comfortable if we have them come back? No, wait, because do we have to give preliminary approval before they get their development plan approval? No, okay. So can
No, you don't.
final full board?
Full board, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you, guys.
I want to thank you guys. I normally don't show up for these anymore as I used to, but I really, in the beginning, I was at the Oz. The guy that was just talking.
Oh, I don't know.
Where is that coming from? That wasn't that way in the old days. I really appreciate the board's comments. I don't generally appreciate the board's comments that much, but on this particular project, Alex and I go back a long ways. But I think the project is much better than it initially was. And honestly, the Public Works, as there was a lot of comments, I think we have a better project now. Yeah, I really do.
A better frontage.
Yeah, I really do. I think it's a much better project, and it's a high visibility project. So I think it's important, really do. So I appreciate it,
Thank you.
really do. That's it.
That.
Right.
Thank you so much. See you next time.
Yep, thank you.
So that concludes our January 5th meeting.
Business